We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Bobby. All right, Bobby is still agonizing over some final decisions in this 12-foot by 12-foot theater room, which also has to serve as a guest room with an inflatable mattress sometimes. This is the one where I was like, I think if I remember correctly, he was like, well, I gotta have the space for the bed, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, so he's just, and I said, don't worry about that. You can move the recliners and move them back afterwards. I think that's what I sort of said, right?
Yep.
So he's decided he wants 4 recliners, all in one row. He's going to leave just a little over a foot of space behind him. He's got his Klipsch bookshelf speakers up front. He was going to use the Klipsch R14S surround speakers on the sidewalls with their half-moon shaped bipole tweeters and wall mount design. But with 4 seats, there's only going to be about a foot from the sidewalls to the outermost seat on each side. So even with their on-wall design, the R14S surrounds would be really close. On top of that, the R14S costs quite a bit more than the R14M bookshelf satellite model, and the R14M are only 1 inch thicker from front to back. So should he stick with the surround plan, or could he save some money by mounting the bookshelves in the 2 rear corners, and which would sound better? Let me see. Wait a second here. He has bought these already, or he's going to buy these?
He's getting something to act as his surround speakers in any case. He's like, he can get the satellite model, it's cheaper, he can put it in the rear corners, and it won't be quite as close to the outermost of his 4 seats going across.
I do not love the idea of going with those surround speakers.
Okay, because I mean, we were previously advising that, but a few things have changed in this setup now. So.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm saying that is because they are meant to be firing in with a very wide dispersion, and you're basically going to have them in the back corners, which means they're going to be bouncing directly off of that back wall and back into your head. I think a direct firing speaker would sound perhaps a little bit better.
Yeah, given this specific setup that he's now described, I agree with Tom. I would now change my vote. I would say save the money, get the R14M satellite model instead, mount it where it works well, which, you're right, it would end up basically in the rear corners. That's going to be a foot behind your seats on the sides. Just mount them high enough that you get a clear line of sight from the tweeter to all the seating positions.
You're going to be facing them kind of towards each other.
Maybe facing them pretty much towards each other.
Maybe cheat them in just a tiny bit and put some absorption on that wall right there to catch that first reflection.
On the back wall there.
On the back wall.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, he wanted to save money, so we're telling him to get the cheaper one. Can't be too mad about that.
Yeah. The subwoofers, he says, this whole time he's been leaning towards dual SVS PB1000s. He wants them, but the money, it is the tight one. And he's trying to convince himself that he can spend less. The dual HSU VTF Mark III combo would save him about $100, but now he's been doing a lot of research on DIY options. He's found some 10-inch drivers that can play down to They can play down to 22 hertz. Provided you build them in the correct ported box design, they need an external amp. If we can suggest a good one for under $300, he'd be able to hit his desired budget. He knows we'll probably say to just save up for the dual PB1000s, which is an option he's considering, but could we recommend an amp that would work for these DIY subs anyways? Yes, we can. No, you should not buy them. The SB1000s are slightly cheaper, right? Because they're smaller? Is that right?
SB1000s? Nope, same price as the PB1000s. $950 for duals. Shipping's included, but no less expensive. I have no beef with the HSU VTF-1 Mark IIIs. In this room size, which is small, those will absolutely crush that room. I have no problem with that. You're saving $850 after you include the shipping on dual VTF-1 Mark IIIs. I think that's a very fine choice. But look, he's like, can we just throw out an example of a $300 amp that could drive these DIY subs anyway? Yeah. Parts Express, or Sweetwater, or B&H Photo. Just check their pro amp designs. I would probably point you to a Behringer iNuke.
Right, iNuke is the one that everybody kind of goes with. Just make sure it doesn't have a fan, whatever it is. Any amp, basically any amp of any power You wouldn't have a muff, but the iNukes are like 1,000 watts, aren't they, or something ridiculous like that?
Oh, well, but they kind of fudge the numbers because they'll be like, it's 1,000 watts, but that's when it's bridged into 2 ohms.
Right.
So there's some weirdness there. But, I mean, honestly, you don't need anything more than, 300 watts per channel into 4 ohms, because these are going to be 4 ohm drivers.
Right.
Being subwoofer
so it's
drivers.
150 into 8, theoretically.
I mean, if you went with something that can deliver 500 watts into 4 ohms, that is completely going to cover any DIY you could possibly imagine in this room size.
Yeah.
So I think there's actually like the NU3000, which even though that number seems crazy high into the 4 ohms, it is like 500 watts per channel or something in there. Whatever it was, I think it was the NU3000, which I believe I saw going online for about $230. So it's definitely under your $300 price point. There's no
Dude, you could
question
just
drive
go
it.
to your local pawn shop, find an old subwoofer, and just plug it in, make sure the amp works, tear the amp out of it. It'll look awful, but who cares?
That's gonna look. These are so inexpensive anyway that
I bet you get it for like $50, dude.
that's true, I suppose.
I mean, at this point, if you're really trying to save money, let's just go all the way. And you're gonna DIY this thing. Don't even put a covering on them. Just make them this raw MDF. Build it out of 2x4s. No, I mean, okay, dude, I understand where you're coming from, and
Yes,
I know
completely.
I'm giving you a hard time, but the reality is I completely understand. I don't know that 10-inch drivers that can play down to 22 hertz, provided you build them into the correct ported box. It is just not that easy.
You got to finish that box too.
Well, they get down to 22 hertz. Are they going to be? Is it going to be flat? Is it going to have frequency response issues all over the place? Is it getting down to 22 hertz, but it's not loud enough for you for the human ear to hear in a reasonable way? You know, if it was just as easy as throwing a driver in the right size box, we could all do it. We would all be doing DIY. There'd be no reason for SVS, the company that you're looking at, to have 25 different driver designs before they settled on the driver for the 2000 series. If it was as easy as putting any old beefy driver in a box and making sure the box has the right internal volume and port sizes, it's just not.
My honest vote for you here is the HSUs, because they're gonna perform really nicely. You're saving some money, so you can be like, hey, I didn't spend as much as the SVSs were gonna cost. I went the logical route and I saved myself some money, and they're still going to perform really well, and you don't have to finish the cabinets yourself and worry about external amplification or any of that. That's my vote for you.
Okay. I still think you should get the SVSs, and just because that's what
I wouldn't say no, but I'm like, the $100 is $100.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know what, buyer's remorse.
And
I'm gonna put it out there, buyer's remorse.
Maybe by getting the smaller, less expensive satellite clipshes, he'll have saved enough money that he can put them into the HSUs or the SVSs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying maybe that can happen now.
You do, man. If you do build your subs, we've had a lot of people talk about building their own subs on this podcast. How many pictures of self-built subs have you seen on this podcast, Rob? How many times has somebody sent you a picture of a sub that they have built?
I know of 3 for certain.
Okay.
There's probably more.
All right. This podcast has been going on for 10
One of them was that
years.
one that was an entire stage, that the whole thing was a folded horn. Remember?
Oh, right.
That was a 10-inch driver, but the folded horn was so long and huge that it was actually an entire stage. That like the stage.
Dude, who was that guy? Did he used to come to the after
He did
parties?
come to the hangouts, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember him. But he built that before. I mean, it wasn't like he didn't ask us about it on the podcast and end up building it.
No.
He had already had that. I'm
He
talking
already
about
had that,
people coming to us, asking about building a sub, and then afterwards saying, hey, I built it. Here's the sub.
And we had that guy who ended up starting his own company because we were so impressed with the finish job he did on his.
That's true.
For sure.
That is true.
I'm trying to. I know there was one other. I can't remember the specifics. But.
All right. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.